So in a 401k, you're paying tax on the crop, which means you're not going to pay tax when the money goes into the 401k, but you are going to pay tax when it comes out of the 401k. This does not come from any particular website. It comes from a bunch of different websites, and I put this together and chose these particular articles to give you guys a very broad overview of 401ks versus Roth IRAs, when to use them, how to use them, so that you could be more educated when talking to clients about their 401ks. It's known that 80% of most people's wealth is tied up either in the equity in their primary residence or in their 401k. So when you guys talk to people on the phone, this is where the bulk of their money is going to be tied up. Now, for those of you that have been around a while, you know that people will cash out their IRA or they'll cash out their self-directed IRA so they get involved in some of our programs, which is great. I think that's a good use of funds. But you guys need to understand how they work, how they roll, and when to use them appropriately. So let's look at page 1 here. Brief history of the 401k. Okay, you'll see there where it says pre-tax. Above pre-tax, I want you to write the following. Tax on the crop. Tax on the crop, C-R-O-P. And then turn to the second page, the back page of page 1, where it says post-tax. Where it says post-tax, I want you to write tax on the seed. Tax on the seed. So in a 401k, you're paying tax on the crop, which means you're not going to pay tax when the money goes into the 401k, but you are going to pay tax when it comes out of the 401k. In a self-directed IRA or a Roth IRA, you pay tax before you make a contribution, but you don't pay tax when you withdraw the contribution, okay? So let's go back to page 1 and look at this. I'll read through it quickly, touching on some of the finer points, and then I'll go to the board and give you guys some examples of what you need to know. Many early backers of the 401k say it wasn't designed to be a primary retirement tool and acknowledge they used forecasts that were too optimistic to sell the plan in its early days. Wall Street Journal reports others say the proliferation of 401k plans has exposed workers to big drops in the stock market and high fees from Wall Street money managers. Even the father of the 401k, Ted Benna, tells the Journal with some regret that he helped open the door for Wall Street to make even more money than they were already making. Other experts agree. On its blog, the Economic Policy Institute recently declared 401ks a poor substitute for the defined benefit pension plans many workers primarily relied on, which provide a fixed payout for employees at retirement, at which have now become increasingly rare. Nowadays, just 13% of all private sector workers have a traditional pension compared with 38% in 1979, reports the Journal. That's despite the fact that 401ks are far less safe. I would underline that, circle it, far less safe. Unlike defined benefit pensions, which provide set payouts for life, 401k accounts rise and fall with financial markets. The accidental retirement revolution began in 1978 when Congress decided to alter the tax code with the Revenue Act. The original proponents of the 401k plan, which has become the dominant source of retirement savings for most Americans, are rueful about the revolution they unintended or unintentionally began. Many backers of the 401k says it wasn't designed to be a primary retirement tool, acknowledged they used forecasts that were too optimistic. Okay, I obviously doubled that, okay? Let's see here, going to the next page. So 401k is, the 401 is tax code 401. That's where the name comes from, tax code 401k, okay? In 1983, nearly half of all large firms offered 401k plans. In 1990, 384 billion in assets. 1996, 1 trillion in assets. By 2001, they increased the contribution limit to 18,000. 2006, Pension Plan Act made it easy for companies to enroll their employees automatically. And today, this is the number you need to be aware of. Currently, 401k plans hold more than 4.8 trillion in assets, and pensions in the private sector are increasingly rare. $4.8 trillion held in 401ks. Now, why are they risky? Because you are making a pre-tax contribution. So when you get your paycheck, you pay your 401k contribution, then you pay tax on everything that's left over, okay? When you withdraw from a 401k, you get taxed at whatever tax bracket you are in at the time of withdrawal. Now, some of you are in your 20s and 30s, which means you have another 30 years left to work, most likely, okay? Now, do you believe that at the time of your retirement, the taxes will be higher or lower than they presently are? Higher. Why? Because we forgive $300 billion in student loan debt that somebody else agreed to, and we now have to pay for it, okay? Also because the federal government is legalizing marijuana, which we know decompresses or breaks down people's immune systems, and they spend more time in the hospital, much like cigarettes. And then when those people don't have Medicare or health care, they then go on public health care, which is paid for by who? Us, right? So how are they going to get the money to pay for all these programs? They're just going to increase the tax on your 401k distributions when you take it out.